Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Apologies for the audio issues this week. I am recording from my hotel here in Las Vegas. I'm not going to be coming back till Monday during the morning, so I figured I'll record just something for Mondays with Mr. Happy here in Las Vegas. As such, there's going to be a little bit shorter of a Mondays with Mr. Happy. I know I say that a lot, but I mean it this time. I don't have my list of Patreon users, don't really have my proper setup to really do the whole thing properly. I can edit it a little bit, but that's about it. So before we get started, I just have a few questions that I need to answer for this week, and I'm not going to be able to thank all of my Patreon supporters by name this time. I just don't have the setup, nor do I have really the time. I actually have to go to dinner somewhat soon, so kind of got to crank this one out a little bit. But yeah, thank you everyone who's been supporting the channel. There are going to be a ton of videos, and of course we have our Patreon supporters that have been keeping us going good through hashtag demonetize. Our two patrons of light, Kurenai, Oni, and Khuja. I don't have the images handy to actually edit them into the video this week, again, because I'm strapped for time. Wanted to make sure I at least got those thank yous out. Of course, there's tons of other people. There's so many names of people that support over on Patreon, and you guys hear it every week, and I appreciate it just as much this week as I do every other week. So hopefully you can understand that this is a little bit different of a week. We'll go back to making sure we have the full shoutouts this week on State of the Realm, which is going to be a busy one. We have like 7 or 8 State of the Realms already planned based on some of the stuff from the Fan Fest and some of the topics that we're going to be bringing up. And we'll be hitting the general topics here in the first State of the Realm after Fan Fest on Tuesday. But anyway, let's get into the questions so I can get this video made and head out to dinner. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so we have question number 1 here. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you are having a good day. I'm having a swell day. I'm doing all right. It was very nice partying up with you in Pyros. I was the White Mage. Not very specific, but you know what? It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of people come up to me at FanFest and say, yeah, we played in Pyros, and you know, I was having a lot of fun. You saved my group one time, you rezzed me here, or we were partying up for this, and it's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of really good memories and a lot of really good situations come out of Pyros. It's turned out really well. My question is, what are your thoughts on Eureka in general from Animos to Pyros? A bit of a loaded question, but I'll give you a little bit of a generalization. Animos, I didn't play right at launch, so I don't feel like my opinion on Animos is complete. I was dealing with some personal life issues, as many of you know, around that time, and thus I didn't form my opinions until after, you know, the train had just become the way to do it. You know, I didn't get to experience the early exploration of Animos on, and so my general thing was, like, it almost reminded me of, like, when you're AFKing for notorious monsters in Final Fantasy XI. Like, so in Final Fantasy XI, some of the big bosses, they only spawn once every 21 or 24 hours, and there's only one chance for them to spawn every 30 minutes within that 3-hour window. So in the 29 minutes between those, it was pretty common for people to just mess around and chat and really just, you know, shoot the shit. And Animos kind of reminded me of that all the time. You know, if you were ever part of the train and maybe the monsters were dying too fast, you know, you could take some time to stop and chat with people, or there'd be memes and shout chats. So it was a very social experience, almost like a social waiting room for the notorious monster spawns. I didn't mind it. It wasn't very good from a gameplay perspective, but it was good from a social standpoint, which was something that I felt like there isn't really much time for in Final Fantasy XIV when doing other content because of the pace at which it moves. So I feel like it captured that actual aspect of 11, which seemed to be the entire point of Eureka. It captured at least that part really well. It didn't capture the other parts as well, which I think was probably for the better. Pagos, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. It wanted you busy all the time, and thus the social aspect took a nosedive, and it kind of brought to light some of the worst aspects of 11, not the things a lot of people from 11 really affiliated with that positive experience. On top of that, Final Fantasy XIV's gameplay, it's meant to be constant button pressing, so it just isn't. I don't feel like it resonates very well with content like Pyros, where they want you to be just going endlessly if you really want to get the most out of it. So Pyros suffered from map design issues. It suffered. Honestly, they've all suffered from OST issues because they all use the same music, and I have been feeling Hydatos is not going to be any different. And Ems took longer to spawn. The reward structures were a lot weirder. The relic weapon was a bit of a pain. It wasn't super hard, the relic there, but it wasn't exactly a fun stab either. So I feel like Pagos was pretty much the epitome of the worst of Eureka, and that Pyros has done everything that's possible to take some of the social aspects of Animos and allow them to shine through a little bit while still keeping you kind of busy like Pagos did, and at the same time taking certain design aspects and making them a little less tedious. There's a little bit of an issue with monster density in Pyros, and there's a lot of choke points, but the choke points aren't really too bad to get through. Once you've been through them once, you kind of learn to avoid the enemies within them. It also has an issue with the bunny fates maybe being a little bit too popular, as opposed to Pagos, where they were not popular at all for various reasons. In that sometimes it's hard to get people to spawn certain bosses, but the zone is still popping. The logo system was the system I was worried about the most, has actually been the greatest strength of Pyros. It allows you to break Final Fantasy XIV in ways we pretty much never expected us to be allowed to break it, and that's a great thing for fun. People love breaking games. It's just something that it's like there's an innate sense of like power behind it, like you've really beat the system kind of. And Logos gives you an opportunity to do that within the game without it being against the rules. Like it's totally intended for you to just go completely wild with it. And I think that the other Eureka zones could have benefited from that. So I think Pyros is the absolute best that Eureka has been so far. I would go as far as to say it's fun. And I hope the fourth zone continues that, with the logo system still there. I will at least have fun with that, and I hope it has more goals for us to work on along with the public dungeon stuff. So really looking forward to the fourth zone, which I didn't think I'd be saying after Pagos. So overall opinion is good, bad, best is how I'm feeling from the 3 zones. All right, question number 2. Hey Haps, hope you had a fun time at FanFest. Still am. Still got some stuff planned for the rest of the Sunday, because I don't go back till Monday. As someone who played 11 in its heyday, it's been really nice seeing some of the gear show up in 11 in Eureka, especially gears that used to be quite unique, like the Scorpion Harness, Optical Hat, Strider Boots, etc. I know you played 11. I was wondering if you enjoy seeing these old armors in 14 as well. I know you're not one to use glamours or like speculation questions, so instead I just like to see people wearing 11 gear bringing back any nostalgia feels of the old days of 11. Is there any gear that you personally would enjoy seeing added to 14? For me personally, I would like to see the Vermilion Cloak become available, because realistically I'd be happy seeing anything with the exception of the Wallara Turban. Even after leaving the game a decade ago, I still see the fatigue of seeing everyone and their mother wearing that turban. Anyway, take care, and I look forward to seeing your coverage of FanFest. Thanks. I thought it's been okay. I actually think a lot of 11 gear is kind of meh. Like a lot of it has like a memory behind it, like a Scorpion Harness. I don't think a Scorpion Harness looks cool. I think that it had a sort of status in 11 that's really where the nostalgia is, how important that item was in terms of strength. Anyone who had one or a +1 version of it, anytime you saw a Venomous Claw drop, like memories like that come to mind when I think of the Scorpion Harness. Optical Hat, I don't know. I don't really have too much fond memories of 11 gear. Stuff like Defending Ring and Riddle, which, I guess are kind of the more nostalgic items for me, maybe hold a little bit more. One in particular that holds some nostalgia for me is the Genie Weskett or the Akira Weskett, which, there are newer versions of in the current version of 11. This was a Black Mage body piece, and it kind of was it was at one point similar in status to the Scorpion Harness, but on the caster side, where a Black Mage with that was pretty much, you had to get it. The Akira Weskett was not too expensive. It was on the pricier side early on, but the Genie Weskett was really one of the big ones, because it was one of the best body pieces in the game for just raw damage. And I have an experience where I saw a Japanese player on my server in 11 shouting that they wanted to sell a Genie Weskett for, I don't know, like 10 mil. And I only had 4 or 5 mil on me, but I had a couple of items that were valuable. So I figured I'd send them a tell, say, hey, I want that Genie Weskett. I only have this much gil, but I also have these items. So if you're willing to sell these items or take them at their market value, then, I'll take it. And they said, sure, let me meet your character in Tabnasia and Stronghold, and we'll do the trade there. They showed up, and they saw my character, and I was a Taru, and they were also Taru. So they traded me, and I put the gil in, I put the items in, and they said, no, take the items out. And I said, okay, why? And they said, you're a Taru. I'm giving you a Taru discount. You only give me, it was 5 mil plus items before, brought down to 4 mil. Just 4 mil and no items altogether. So they gave me a Taru discount on the Genie Weskett. So that's an item that I think actually looks cool. It's got tattoos along the arm as part of the outfit. And that's got some nostalgic value to me. From a gameplay perspective, I think most of the 11 gear is actually kind of hideous. It's kind of bare bones in like almost a nostalgic, like classic RPG way. But I'm not so nostalgic for any of it that in terms of visuals, I'm not really looking forward to any of it. Maybe certain boss-looking things like Shadow Lord body piece or something, but other than that, not too much from a glamour standpoint. All right, question number 3. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope you're having a hell of a hurrah time in Happy Fan Festival. I had a good time, and I've still been enjoying it. I know the question's kind of cut off on the side. Let's see if I can get that fixed real quick. A little mid thing. I don't know how I didn't notice how much of the question was. I think it's because people were being really good about. Oh, you know what? It's because I didn't zoom into the page. Are you ready for this? I didn't zoom in enough. That's what did it. Yeah, look at this. We get some mid-episode editing right here, just so we can make sure it looks nice and pretty. Let me scroll down, make sure. Nope, it's still cut off at the end, but I can just do that, I guess, and now it just takes up the entire bottom of the screen. Anyway, my question is it a good thing for Square Enix to cater to the base demands of Final Fantasy XIV fans rather than focus on new and creative content and originality? For example, fans want a Viera, we're getting Viera. Fans ask for Blue Mage, we're getting Blue Mage. They ask for Gunblade, we're getting Gunblades. Fans ask for Final Fantasy XI content, we get Eureka. Fans ask for minions, we get Lords of Verminion. Some fans, I guess, ask for similar PvP, we get Feast, and so on and so on. Is it a good thing? Thanks. So I feel like there's always an up and a down. You always want to kind of cater to the base demands of your game from a business standpoint, because your least common denominator is usually the most profitable, in a sense, the players who can casually enjoy stuff like the main scenario quest or simple side story quests, people who will kind of be content with everything that they get. They love getting a new dungeon, they love taking their time to kind of take in their surroundings, and it's not always about combat or content. It's about the world and the experience, and those people are generally more valuable and they're more healthy for the state of the game. So when those players have base demands like Viera or Blue Mage or Gunblade or Final Fantasy XI content or minion stuff, like they're usually the safest people to cater to, and that's kind of the thing that Square Enix has been I don't know why I can't get this word out. They've been criticized for. I don't know why I couldn't get that word. And I think it's a good thing that they do it for the health of the game. But I do agree, on the other hand, I'd love to see them go wild with a little bit more originality and stuff that isn't just catering to the demands. But it's a tough one. It's a tough call. I think you kind of need to do a mix of both, because if you don't cater to the base demands, and people say, oh, they don't listen to us, they just do whatever they want. And if you do, then everyone goes, how come they never tried to do anything original? And it's like, you can only do so much in a day, in a patch, in a given time between those patches. So I think they do a good mix of both. And I think they could do more of the originality section, though, and I don't think many people would harp on them too much for it. But we've been getting such a consistent experience over the last 5+ years now that you got to admit that base demand stuff, it does definitely work and has kept their game successful over the last 5 years. So we'll wait to see what more originality they can come up with. Blue Mage is definitely taking an interesting approach, which I'll be making a standalone video about. I'm sure there's other questions down here about Blue Mage, because now it looks like we're getting to the times after FanFest that actually started taking place. So I'm sure there's a Blue Mage question somewhere down here at some point. Anyway, thank you for your question. And yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Next question. Hey, Happy, long-time viewer, first-time asker. My other posts were in other places in the forums. As a bonus, have a potion that cures and protects from all conflict for the next year. Now, other than losing my voice because of the concert, I'm not doing too bad from a sickness standpoint. I could just use a little bit more sleep. Now for my question. I quit 14 back in the first week of 4.2 due to some unfortunate drama with my raid group, but now the Shadowbringers trailer has come out. I've worked and gotten myself motivated to fork over the cash and return. I'm hoping to catch up with before the new expansion. My main goal is to complete the relic. I had a completed relic before the expansion ended for the last two, and I'm hoping I can for this one as well. But with the introduction of Eureka, I'm wondering just how screwed I am in trying to catch up. Hopefully you had an awesome time and FanFest, and thank you for all the coverage of 14 you provide. Well, thank you for watching the coverage. I don't think you're screwed. I know people who have caught up through Animos and Eureka with like a couple of 16-hour days, depending on how well they use that time. So I think even if you're playing at a more casual pace, you're far from screwed. Animos is still plenty populated, Pagos is still plenty populated, but try to play to the strength of the region you're playing in. Try to play during peak times to make sure that the time you are spending on the game is the most efficient time, so you don't have to spend extra time because maybe you got a dead zone, or maybe there's not as many people in this zone, or maybe the NMs aren't spawning, any of those sort of things that can play an impact on how long the relic takes. But you're not going to have an issue completing it. And I have a feeling when the 4th zone comes out, you'll be fine even if you waited until then to get started. It could be wrong, but right now it's fine. So hop in, just get started with Animos, move up to Pagos, which is going to be probably the worst step of the bunch, and then just get into Pyros. And Pyros has been popping, so I don't think you'll have any issues. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, long-time viewer, first-time posting. So I have a bottle of Kraken rum and Dr. Pepper. That's my college drink right there, but I could still do that any day. 2 fast questions. 1, do you think we could get the ability to drink like we can in WoW? For fun, we have you can get in the city go to the city, get drunk in-game and like real life or other stuff for fun. Second, with the mention of dwarfs, because you ever see it as a playable race. Thank you for your time and keep up the great work. I'll take the dwarf thing first. No, they said Viera is probably the final race. Dwarfs are just being added more as a, they've appeared in classic Final Fantasy games, the first ones, especially some of the first ones that were a lot more common back then. And so no, I just think they're going to be there as, beast races of a certain kind, or as non-playable, I guess, enlightened races would be the best way to put it. As for, do you think we can drink? I don't see a reason why we couldn't. I mean, if World of Warcraft can do it, I don't see why we can't. It might be a cultural thing to maybe not want to do it, but maybe they've stated a reason why we can't, because we have wine. We can like pop bottles and stuff. So I think it's probably that they're probably less invested in the idea of developing like a drunk status, because that's the thing World of Warcraft does, is you get a drunk status and then everything gets a little weird on the screen and everything. And I think they're probably just maybe not focused on developing that. I'm sure there's one of their developers might work on more role-playing style functions, and maybe they will work on that at some point. But can it happen? Absolutely. Will they? Questionable. Just could be one of those things they randomly add in a patch. I don't see there's any reason why they couldn't. Okay, I took one look at the words and I was like, this is the Blue Mage question, because I said someone's probably going to ask one. Hi, Mr. Happy. Last time I submitted a question was a Realm Reborn. Wow, that's a long time ago. Just want to know what you would change about Blue Mage so it's usable in group content. I was thinking along the lines of monsters. Okay, I think I can answer the question without really having to read through all the idea portions of this. Let me see if there's ever a kind of a follow-up to the initial question of how would I change Blue Mage to make it fit for group play. When I was watching Blue Mage and when they said it was solo, I was upset for myself because, monks are the masters of everything, but I was more upset for people because it's an MMO, so I don't know why there's strictly a solo job. So for Blue Mage, I've kind of mentioned this in my video where I was speaking about the producer live letter where they detailed all this. You're either in two boats. You either want Blue Mage to be as loyal as possible, which means, it being a very solo-centric job, it is fairly loyal to at least the Final Fantasy XI experience, and also trying to be as loyal to its more original states of seeing the skills and learning them like that. We've had several iterations of Blue Mage since then that don't all work like that. You also have the other side of it where you can take away some of its identity, which this has happened a lot in Final Fantasy XIV, to make it suited for group play. And I don't think you have to struggle that hard to make Blue Mage, set for group play. You can literally make it like every other job, but its quests could literally just involve the idea of learning skills from the monsters. Like that's a traditional Final Fantasy XIV way of doing things. And Blue Mage didn't have to be any different than that. They chose to focus more on the initial experience, which also means they don't have to worry about balance. This is a big thing with Blue Mages. It's a way for them to introduce a job everyone wants, give it its own unique content, and not really need to worry about it impacting the balance of the other jobs they're going to be incorporating. It's content instead of just a job. And I'm sure what they're hoping is that players who may not necessarily want to play the job don't really have to think about that. They want it to be content that they enjoy. I'm in the boat. I would have preferred them to have narrowed down what Blue Mage can do and kind of focus it and make it for group play. Make it like a normal job introduction as opposed to the way that it's being introduced now. I'm in that boat. That being said, if Blue Mage as content is fun, I'll be okay with it. But it'll never be my preferred method of introduction. If it's fun, great. I plan on getting all 49 actions. I plan on making videos about Blue Mage. I plan on beating all of the stages of the Masked Carnival. And for me, that's good. That's content for the YouTube channel. That's content for me to enjoy on my stream. It's time invested. And Blue Mage otherwise would have just been level to 70 and probably never touch it again because I don't really play casters. This is going to kind of give me, I guess, me personally a little more mileage with the job. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are perfectly okay with this. They're in the boat where, they don't care. Like, they just want to play it, enjoy it. They're glad it's in there. They're glad it's as loyal as it is. I'm just not in that boat. I would have preferred it to be a tank. That's always been my thing. And, for it to need to be hit by spells to learn them, whether it be in job quests or through a method like they have now. And that's not what they went for. So there's no point in really getting riled up about it for me now. I kind of don't have the energy for it right now either. You can see how tired I am if you look at me. And so, yeah, it's just, we'll see what happens. If it's fun, it's fun. I'll wait till after I play it before I judge it too much more now. But I'm sure I'll have to talk about it plenty over the next couple months while we wait for 4.5. And I can already see we've got another Blue Mage question. Don't worry about it. What's up, Haps? FanFest happened, I say. As a stream watcher, it was okayishly good. And also, welcome back. I'm feeling nostalgic because of the Blue Mage. It's here, but I'm conflicted. How do you feel about the presentation of the details? You think my strange idea from episode 61? I am not going to remember that. I really want to write my thoughts about this somewhere. Should we wait and see? I'm in the wait and see boat. Obviously, my answer is going to mimic the answer I just had before this. I don't know. There's nothing I can really add to the last question. I really just want to play it. I want to get my hands on it. I want to see how it feels. I was really hoping they were going to string us along and just level it up until the end of the expansion, where like 4.58, maybe by then it's level 70 and then goes up to level 80 in Stormblood. Not the case, but that doesn't mean we don't have new jobs to look forward to. And I don't want Blue Mage to distract me from the fact that we're probably getting a Gunblade type job, and I'm hoping that one's a tank. So, yeah, I mean, just wait. I'm in the wait and see boat. And that's it. I don't know what to add. All right, next question. Hey, Haps, hope you had fun at FanFest. Yes, this will be one of the billion questions about Blue Mage. I keep seeing Blue Mage not work as a job, which is totally not true, and I totally agree with you. It could very much be incorporated into Final Fantasy XIV. This is not a previous Final Fantasy. This is not Final Fantasy XI. This is Final Fantasy XIV. I think the whole Blue Ordeal is just an example of Square Enix listening to 11 players too much that want to turn 14 into 11. I actually don't think that. I think Yoshida has a very clear idea of what Blue Mage should be, and that maybe this is the one job where he said, this is the place where I don't want to make any consolidations. I don't want to remove the identity of this job. Regardless of 11 and the way that one worked, I have a feeling it's more that than it is just listening to the community. Because he said this so many times in interviews, like going back even as far as like 4 years ago. He's been in interviews saying that I would love to do Blue Mage in the game, but I'm so conflicted because I want Blue Mage to be able to just learn spells and then, have these crazy effects like bad breath. But I can't balance my game around that. He's always seemed conflicted about adding Blue Mage because he wants it to be exactly as he remembers it being in the previous games. So I think this might be more of an internal thing and less of an external thing, but there's no way for us to even know any of that. Came up too much of rambling. Yeah, I don't know if there's a question in here. Wait, what's the actual question? Let's see. I haven't played 11. Get how it works. Let's see. We as a community force something that can work. Quick last thing. Main problem with Blue is the revelation. They worded it like a new job. Yeah, I think they should have maybe explained limited job as soon as they unveiled it. Oh, that would have been a good thing. Yeah, you didn't ask a question, but I just took the opportunity to explain a little bit more about anything else, about how I feel about it. So hopefully that's in addition to my previous stuff is adequate. So thank you. All right, next question. Hi, Haps. Hello. New viewer to your YouTube channel all the way from Finland. Well, welcome to the YouTube channel, good sir and or madam. My question is, I'm a very casual player. I don't get many hours to play every week. So when I hit level 70, is there anything I can do other than main story? So this depends about how efficient you are with your time. I mentioned earlier with Eureka, you don't need to spend 16 hours a day in Eureka to get it done. Dungeons, you don't need 16 hours in a day to cap your tomestones. You don't need 16 hours in a day to get your Beast Tribe quest done. You don't need an insane amount of hours to get a lot of stuff done. I know people who raid, casually with the Party Finder. Maybe they do 10 hours in total in a week, and they just spend their time in the Party Finder because that's what they want to do, trying to beat the raids. It's a matter of how well you use the time, not about how much time you actually have. So I'd say, yeah, you'll be absolutely fine. You just have to want to sit down and get those things. Don't think any of them are kind of out of your reach, because they're not. Even if you only have an hour or two a day, it's about how you spend that hour or two. And sometimes, some days it'll work out really well, and some days, you'll feel like, oh man, I didn't really get much done. But that's just kind of how it is in an MMO. So there's always something you can get done in that time. It's just a matter of if it is the thing you wanted to get done in that time. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much. I think you'll be fine. Just don't overthink it too much and just focus on trying to enjoy stuff. And yeah, I think you'll be able to make a lot of use out of the hours that you do have. And this is the final question on the forums. No live Twitch questions this week. Hey, Haps, everyone wished you a happy FanFest, but I don't think I read anywhere. What was your favorite part this time around? Also, thanks for signing my 14 mousepad. I was the guy trying to ask the if or ooh question. It was great to finally meet you. It's really incredible to see everyone's love for the game. It was nice meeting you too, man. I can see who's asking the question. And it was a great time. This has definitely been my best North American fan festival that I've been to of the three so far. The concerts were great. The people were great. The organization of everything was great. Security was great. Merch line was great. Everything was great. So anyway, what was my favorite part? my favorite part of FanFest is always seeing people. I honestly wasn't even going to do Yojimbo this week. I had no intention of doing any of the challenges. I really appreciated the effort that went into everything. I got to say that the North American community team and the members of the other community teams that showed up, because I do know a few of them, all did phenomenal jobs. I know Matt Hilton probably worked himself to the bone to get a lot of stuff done, and he probably didn't get as much credit. I feel I saw a lot of people thanking the team overall. Like I could name people individually, but I feel like Matt Hilton's name never really popped up on that list. So I want to personally thank him, because I know he worked himself to the bone. I could see it in his face, like how much this was wearing on him, and I could see it on the faces of a lot of the community team members. You know, I saw my friend Josh, who works there. You know, he's done a lot of mobile game stuff, and he was working the Yojimbo booth, and I saw him having to deal with constant people all the time. Saw Shen and Aya just constantly being run around and run all over the place. The PvP stream, as much as I meme on PvP, was fantastic. I had a killer time in the crowd. It was an awesome series of matches with solid shoutcasting out of +1 and Frosty. Want to give them a huge shout out. Someone who I didn't get to see at all was Reinhardt, you know, one of the OG translators who works at Square Enix now, fan translations he used to do. Tony, who's been killing it as well. Like, so many names, so many faces. The people who I actually got to see were all so respectful and so friendly, and I don't know. It was just it was great. This, like I said, this was the best one that I've been to. So to pick one thing is disingenuous for me. I'm just grateful for all the work that went into it. Went into the show. Went into the events. Just, if I could, I would message them all individually, and I realistically could, and thank them all for everything that they did for us. A lot of the PR team helped me in particular with getting around a lot of stuff, directing me to the right places, and they were all super friendly. I don't know, it's just there's so much positive energy that even the few like small things that maybe didn't go exactly as planned for me personally, it didn't matter. In the end, I was just glad to be here, and I'm sad it's done, and I really want to go to the other fan fest now, because I don't want to wait 2 years for this experience again. I want to go to Paris. I want to go to Japan. Unlikely, but you never know. Maybe I'll find a way to actually get into those as well. So yeah, just seeing everybody. So yeah, I mean that's going to be the last answer for this Mondays with Mr. Happy. So thanks everyone for asking the questions. Again, Patreon. Sorry not being able to call you all out individually this week, but you guys know how much I appreciate how much time that you've given me, since I'm not always as consistent nowadays with recent times as I have been in the past. So thank you to everyone, of course, who watches these videos every week, and hopefully you enjoy all the content that's going to be coming out of FanFest, because once I get back to home in LA, we're going to be pushing out a lot of videos, a lot of discussion topics, a press conference that I haven't gotten to cover yet, as well as State of the Realms that are planned, Zivia's lore book. So much great stuff, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it all with you. So anyway, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Ask your questions for next week. In the description of the video will be a link to a forum. Go there and ask your questions there to make sure that I see them for next week. And if you're in America, have a happy Thanksgiving before next week as well. I know I'll be having some honey-baked ham. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, take care.